Okay. I genuinely cannot. I genuinely cannot remember the last time that I had finished a book. Okay, that's not true. I can. Maybe. At least a book that was not related to my education, a book that I had not seen the movie of repeatedly. I don't know, a book that nobody really influenced me to read. This is a first for me. What book is it, you may ask? I don't know why you're asking, because the title of this video is probably fairly clear. It is Robert Jordan's Eye of the World, first book in the Wheel of Time. As of recording this, it's been a few months. I've been wanting to make this video for a while because I created a extremely large Google Doc on every single thought that I had ever while reading this. Don't ask me why, I just can't enjoy things to a normal extent for some reason. I am almost finished with the second one, but I am making this in the perspective that I have no other knowledge on the series. So, and even if I did make this with that knowing what happens in book 2, my knowledge is fairly minimal, so I don't think it would affect it that much. Before reading this, I had known 2 friends who were into this series, and I was spending time in my local library, and I was like, I feel like reading something. I don't know what came over me. I don't like reading. And I remembered some like absurdly tall person looking where the series was in the library, and I was like, oh, I know where that is. I'll just get the first book, this like massive book. From that point on, I went to the library every single day after school to read like 2 chapters. There's only 2-hour parking there, so I would literally just spend all of those 2 hours reading Wheel of Time. And so I was like, okay, screw it, I'm just gonna buy the book. And that sent me into like, bro, you're gonna find out. I don't know what was wrong with me. Prior to reading this, I assumed that Wheel of Time I thought Wheel of Time was about like a gaggle of teenagers trying to turn a clock backwards or something. Boy, was I incorrect. I don't know where that idea came from. But, you know, I'm enlightened now, and I think I'm pretty qualified to share my opinions, predictions, comments, observations, literally, like, everything. So, yeah, that's what this video is about. I do have a couple of disclaimers. If you're watching this and you have never read this before, go read it. I don't think I'm going to give very in-depth context for anything. I don't even know why anyone would want to watch this in the first place besides my friends. So I don't know. If someone's here that doesn't know me, you're in for a wild ride, dare I say. It's going to be kind of a summary on steroids. So just read the book. I was also told by a very oddly tall person that this book was not meant to be internalized to this extent, which, despite my agreement with that statement, I'm still gonna do it. Go cry about it. I don't know. I'm planning on making 2 videos. This first one is just gonna be kind of me going through the book and the thoughts that I had written down while reading it. So yeah, if you're more interested in my analysis on like characters or other random stuff, I don't even remember what I put in this doc. I'm literally just gonna like go through what I had written down. So yeah, okay. I did not read this. I have no reason why. I don't plan on reading it. I understood the entire thing completely fine without it, and from what I've been told by like a really tall person and some Mexican girl, what happens in the prologue, or like, it's not even the prologue, it's just earlier. I saw prologue and I was like, I'm gonna start there. I didn't even read, was it called Herons, Birds, whatever? From what I was told, pretty much everything that happens in this this chapter or whatever, it's not even a chapter, this little thingy, like, it gets explained later and it's not even anything that's like super important, so whatever, go cry about it. I don't know, what do you want me to do? I remember sitting in the library and reading this and thinking, what a freaking awesome way to start your book, Mr. Jordan. Well done. Creating such a vast world takes so much time to write out while also making a story develop. So you kind of have to just like put a bunch of like world building in the beginning that gets kind of boring. So I think a prologue is just a smart way to say, hey, I'm a good writer. Anyways, all that to say, I don't know if I would have kept reading if I didn't read the prologue. So there you go. Good job, Mr. Jordan. Kind of what I mentioned earlier, chapters 1 through 4 are just kind of, I mean, they're great. Like, there's some stuff with Rand seeing the spooky guy and, like, the excitement around Beltane, which is really wholesome and nice. But other than that, it's all just kind of introductions, developing the world a little bit. You know, it's a little mellow. I don't think it's boring. It's just kind of mellow. These chapters really got me pumped. I don't know, like, what I was on that day. The second the Trolloc just, like, burst through the door, I was, like, turning pages as quickly as possible. Tam gets injured, Rand goes and grabs blankets instead of food. Then, like, a Trolloc starts speaking to him. I freaking love Narg. I'm gonna put my character ranking on the screen. I did, like, a tier list, and Narg is at the top. Narg is just underrated. I hope he comes back. Oh, never mind. I forgot that he died. He's not coming back. Maybe he will. Maybe people can come back to life in this universe. I haven't gotten that far yet. Then Rand, like, carries Tam all the way back to town and then it's completely obliterated. And then Egwene's, like, running around and healing people with their special healing stuff. Then Rand goes up to Egwene and he's like, my dad, I think, is dying. And Egwene, like... If you know me in person, you know where I'm going with this. Let me just read. Suddenly he was knocked back a step as Egwene cannoned into him, throwing her arms around him. Her hug was hard enough to bring a grunt from him. Okay, I'm not much of a hugger, but you have to hug someone pretty hard for them to, like, audibly grunt and be thrown back, right? I don't think ever in my life I've been hugged so hard that I was thrown back and audibly grunted. In order to cause someone to grunt on impact, you need to quickly and sharply hit their sternum with 100 to 180 pounds of force, which is not a lot, but, like, it's definitely there. For a hug, Egwene had to, like, slam her head into Rand's chest. I don't know. And then later it says she hugged him harder. How do you hug him harder after that? I don't understand. Okay, moving on. Chapter 10, Rand, Mat, and Perrin are forced to leave under the request of Moiraine, and then our other characters, Egwene and Tom, choose to come along for some reason, even though nobody really wants them there. Actually, I kind of forgot that Tom existed up to this point. He's not really that significant of a character, in my opinion. In terms of Egwene, I think Moiraine just really wanted another female in the group. I mean, I don't really blame her. You have Perrin, who's kind of stupid, Mat, who's really stupid, Rand, who's like never getting on his freaking horse. Sorry. Excuse my outburst, but you know, we'll come back to it. Never mind. And then Lan is fine, but he's just kind of distant, I guess. I really think Moiraine was just saying, oh, the pattern is changing. Because she wanted another female in the group, and then everyone's like, yes, Moiraine, I believe you. It's okay. She can come. These chapters are fun. These chapters are fresh. I don't even know what I wrote. The Weavers enter a fantasy version of Portland, Oregon. Mat is acting like a dingus. Oh my gosh. Mat is acting incredibly stupid. Rand is like down bad for Egwene. Min is absolutely trolling Rand too. I'll get back to that. Balsamon kills some rats. Perrin catches a cold. Oh, and then Nynaeve's there. And then Moiraine grows like 100 feet tall. Moiraine grows 100 feet tall. Take a seat. Grab a snack. Take a frickin' seat. You are Rand. Well, no, not actually, but like, for the sake of imagination, like, you're pretending you're Rand. You get stopped by some bullies in white cloaks on your way to leaving Portland, Oregon. It's okay, like, no big deal. you've encountered these guys before, it's been completely fine, and you're literally right about to go through the gate. Like, with no problems whatsoever. The gates are actively opening, and you have a clear ride just right out of the city. Like, you're good, you're set. All of a sudden, your female chaperone, who's notoriously short, by the way, grows 100 feet tall. You didn't even know she could do this. You had no idea. She just boing, just, and then steps over the city wall. She has a horse. She could have walked through the gate. She could have rode through the gate. She could have skipped through the gate if she wanted to be chalant for some reason. And nobody questions it. The only thing said about the situation is your crush saying, "You were taller than a giant." Yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. And then we move on. Okay, Robert, yeah, let's move on. Okay, let's go. The Emmons Fielders have their first battle. Whoop-de-doo. Moraine, enters the Avatar state, and then now we're safe inside an abandoned city. They're surrounded by walls. They're peaceful. They're all together. They're healing. They're recovering. And then Matthew has the fantastic idea. Oh my gosh. 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 I can't do it. Matt has the great, grand, spanking idea. He decides it's a great idea to explore an abandoned city an hour after they were hunted and almost killed by hundreds of Trollocs without telling a single authority figure, an hour before sunset. Great idea. What could go wrong? There are so many things that could go wrong. In fact, I was so confident that something would go wrong that I created a list of things that could go wrong. They break something important, they find something valuable and don't tell anyone about it, there is someone still living in the city, they get lost and or kidnapped, and they get in mad trouble with Moraine, and Egwene is personally offended for some reason. These are the predictions I made the second that they left. I got 4.5 of them correct. Matt is so freaking stupid. Oh my god. I will elaborate on this later, but from this point forward, I suspect that Matt is evil and has ill intentions with everything and everyone. So due to Matt's dilemma, we find ourselves in quite the pickly pickle of pickles. The group was split into thirds. Oh no! Matt is getting more and more on my nerves. Egwene dances with freaky hippies. Perrin dances with multiple freaky hippies. Perrin and Egwene get chased by birds. Perrin turns into a furry and kills some white cloaks, and then they get kidnapped by white cloaks. Tom dies. He definitely didn't die. I did get to this point in the second book because it's fairly early on, with Tom and the reunion and stuff. That was so funny. It was pretty obvious he didn't die, though. I wasn't surprised at all. Matt is grumbly and then Matt gets grumbly and then goes blind. Gosh, that made me so happy. He deserved it. I'm sorry. He needed to be humbled. And I knew he did, because not a chapter later, he saves Rand from some dark friends. So, maybe blindness is a good thing for him. There's more visits from Balzamon or Bowser or whatever the frick his name is. I hate that stupid name. Balzamon? It sounds like it's from a 2000s video game. Anyways, then I lose my sanity. I'm not kidding. I genuinely lost my sanity. This book quite literally made me go crazy for a solid 3 days. Here is what I wrote in effect of me losing my mind, if you're wanting to read it. And then here is what I wrote, a couple hours later. After being hit on by every other woman and then almost murdered by a bunch of mysterious strangers, Rand and Matt made it to Caemlyn. Yay! Then everyone else reunites and they start heading to Caemlyn as well. We're also introduced to Loial in these chapters. I was talking to some Mexican girl and some tall guy about this book, and they asked me what I thought of Loial, and I got his name mixed up with Logain, and that made probably the most confusing conversation that I have ever had in my entire life. So now I am never mixing up the two again, because that was insanely embarrassing. And some other new faces are introduced in Caemlyn as well. When Rand was pulled in by Logain's aura, he decides to climb a city wall. he climbed He climbed a wall to get a better view of Loghain and somehow ends up falling into the queen's backyard. That you know what? Sure. It made for a fun chapter to read, so whatever. I'm not mad. I'm just I just find it really funny. Rand is tended to by Elaine. I love Elaine. I think she's such a sweetheart. She's such a beautiful person. I've only had like 1 or 2 chapters with her in them in the second book, and I suspect there will be much more to come, and I'm very excited. And then he goes back, and people don't believe him that he saw the queen. I think that's so funny. I think Robert Jordan does such a good job of like, I don't know, of just creating characters that feel real, I guess. Because of course no one would believe Rand that he fell into the queen's backyard. I wouldn't believe him either. And then finally they're all together again. Yay! I loved Nynaeve's reaction to seeing Rand. She's like, "Hey Rand, you look good. Not fat though, like just good." That was basically all that she said. And then Matt just had to ruin their wholesome reunion, didn't he? Matt just likes to ruin everything. Then we basically have the Council of Elrond, and they're like, we gotta skip going to Tarvalon because the eye of the world is in danger. Oh no! Of course, Egwene decides to join despite Rand being like, that's stupid. You're stupid. She's like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm a girl boss or whatever. I'm gonna be honest, the chapters of them traveling through the ways were kind of a pain to read. Like, they were very equally important and unimportant. It was just a lot of, I don't know, it was like a lot of things happening that didn't really, I don't even know. It was just, I was reading it, I was like, I have no idea what's going on right now. I didn't really take in much information, but it didn't affect me in the long run, so I think it's fine and safe to say that they just traveled through the ways. Although there were 2 things that were noteworthy to probably only me. Number 1, Robert Yobert. It's not even a secret anymore that you just are ripping off Lord of the Rings. For those who are unaware, the mountain that Frodo and Sam climb to destroy the ring is called Mount Doom. It's a silly name, I know. And then Mr. Bobbert over here decided to name some mountain figurations in the Blight the Mountains of Doom. Like, I've read a plethora of creative names you've made, Mr. Jordan, for 700 pages. You've got to be doing it on purpose at this point. Number 2, Nynaeve and Lan. Where did this come from? This is the most random thing I've ever read, ever. I was talking about this with some random short Mexican girl, and she said that it was hinted at earlier in the book. Basically, when Lan came to the 2 rivers for the first time, Nynaeve kind of blushed. But, like, I think that's a completely normal reaction. If I lived in a small town where I knew every single person for my entire life and then some mysterious muscular man walks in, I'd probably be blushing too. I just don't understand how we go from breaking the touch barrier to talking about marriage. I'm sure they had conversations outside of what perspectives I've been reading from, but I like jumped out of my seat. And they don't get any better in book 2. At all. I got whiplash from their conversation in chapter 48. It was completely random and out of nowhere. And then we reach the home stretch. Rand enters the Avatar state. Nynaeve definitely should have died. Matt and Perrin don't really do anything. Balsamon gets his umbilical cord clipped. And just like that, it's finished. I've finished a book for the first time since I can remember ever. I'm left with nothing but a gymongous amount of thoughts and 13 more books to read, so I don't really know how to end this. Watch part 2 if you want. That'll be more in-depth analysis. Okay, bye.